Hello, we are in my office once again, and I have some exciting news. It's regarding the pandemic, so we're following the bishop's lead here, and he is saying that, well, we're lifting some of the restrictions, some of the practices that we've had in place to curb COVID-19. So I just want to go over some news here from the diocese, and it starts with, there's 5 things. The first thing is the ropes in church. So we've been practicing social distancing, and we've blocked off every other pew in the church to help us practice social distancing. But we're going to remove those ropes starting the last weekend of May. So it's going to be May 29th and 30th. We will remove those ropes so you can sit anywhere. So that's the story there. Just so you're ready, when you come to Mass that weekend, you'll see, okay, well, we can sit anywhere because all the pews will be available. Number 2, with regard to masks. Okay, so in the immediate future, masks are still required for Mass and for the different activities at church. So we still haven't had word from the bishop on when that mask requirement will be lifted. So for the time being, we're still wearing masks. I mean, personally, I anticipate that to change relatively soon, but as soon as we know concretely, once we know for sure, we'll let you know. But right now, masks are still mandatory. Okay, we'll see what happens in June, but for now, still mandatory. Number 3, this is important. I mentioned, coming in June, we will have the Sunday obligation reinstated. So the bishops for, many, many months, all throughout the pandemic, they have given that dispensation saying, well, because we're in the middle of a pandemic, Sunday Mass is not obligatory. But now we're moving, the worst of the pandemic is behind us. So it's that first weekend in June, that's June 5 and 6, where, Mass is, once again, as it's always been obligatory for us as Catholics. Why? Because that's our lifeblood. Receiving the Word, receiving the sacrament of the Eucharist. This is worshiping together as a community in the house of God. This is what we do. This is part of the way that we honor the Sabbath. This is how we worship God as Catholics. So yes, once again, that will be obligatory beginning the first weekend of June. So as you know, if you are sick, you are not required to come to Mass. If you're caring for someone who is sick, you're not required to come to Mass. So those, we from before the pandemic, we knew those quote unquote rules. But yeah, this is same is true now moving forward, beginning that first weekend in June. Okay, so the Sunday obligation, that was number 3. Number 4, all the other precautions that we put in place. We're going to just evaluate those one by one, and over time we're going to bring those back. For instance, other precautions like we don't have the holy water fonts in the church, and we don't pass the basket, and we don't offer the sign of peace. So those things, I would imagine, little by little we'll be getting back to normal, back the way we did things before the pandemic. But thank you for your patience, and it's just going to take some time as we go through those things one by one. Okay, and then lastly, number 5 is the bishop is still strongly encouraging folks to get the vaccine. So, and I'll just echo that sentiment. It's really our best defense right now against COVID-19. So I'm trying to get as many people vaccinated as possible. So it's widely available, and I'm strongly encouraged for, if you don't already have the vaccine, to get the vaccine as soon as you can. So I guess this is all, it's good news, right? So we have, we're going to remove those ropes starting last weekend in May, and masks, we're wearing them for now. Waiting on word when that mask mandate will be lifted. Sunday obligation, remember, that's going to start first weekend in June. The other precautions in place, we're going to look at those one by one over time. And then the vaccine, this is what really enables us to come back and pray together and worship together. And I really do look forward to seeing everyone that the first weekend in June, so my heart's going to sing because we'll be back together as a parish family. So that's the story right now. When we get more news, and I anticipate we will be getting more news fast and furious in these next couple weeks, we're going to pass that news along to you as best we can and as quickly as we can. Okay? Let's just pray for the church all throughout the world. Pray for the church here in Columbus, and please continue to pray for the parish family at Christ the King.